Crime heist type films that usually involve the cops versus the criminal, etc., are really hit or miss. And the newest movie in this genre, Crime 101, starring Chris Hemsworth, definitely falls under one of those. This movie follows thief Mark, or James, goes by both names, played by Chris Hemsworth, as he's just going through life trying to reach a certain target before getting out of the crime game for good. On the opposite side, we've got Mark Ruffalo playing the detective that's trying to find the thief. The whole police department thinks he's crazy because he's been chasing these theories for so long, but he's convinced all these robberies are from the same guy. And then we have our third main character, Halle Berry, who by the way is 59 and she looks 40. Hollywood, what are you doing? Have you finally figured it out? I mean, she doesn't look like a cat, no offense to most of the other ones, but she actually looks like a human still. But we see Halle Berry as she works for a big corporation as an insurance broker. She's been working there for 11 years, was promised to become a partner, and is still just slaving away. And unhappy, needless to say. In this movie, we see characters' lives intertwine, the thief trying to get away from the detective, etc. And then we have Barry Keoghan as our crazy, psychopathic, motorcycle riding... Did I already say psycho? Because yeah, he's just a psycho who really just is there to stir stuff up. So this movie is probably one of the best, if not the best, crime heist type movie I've seen in years. Which really surprised me because I went in thinking, it'll probably be an average watch, it'll be decent. It was far from decent. It was great. But let's dig into what makes it so great. First off, we got Chris Hemsworth playing, as I said, Mark or James. We'll just say Mark. And what the movie did so differently here that I liked was they made you feel, I guess, the reality of this lifestyle. I feel like there's other ones, whether it's a comedy heist film or an action heist film, where the character's either serious like Jason Statham, like, yeah, you'll get some tea and crumpets after this. Oh, backflip with the car. And millions of dollars, and I can still sleep at night. Or you get the comedy ones, they're just so over-the-top silly. But this one, right at the beginning, you see Chris Hemsworth coming down from a heist. His adrenaline is pumping, and he's just shaking. And you really sense that. I'm sure it's a blend of the camera work with the cinematography and his acting skills, but I love that. And throughout the whole film, you get these moments of anxiety, or you see him just on edge or high strung and just stressed. And that was something I liked that I feel like we don't see enough. How I describe his character is basically a very masculine, manly, lost little kid. His whole life centers around making money, getting this money because of a poor, traumatic upbringing. But he's really masculine and suave when it comes to his lifestyle with heists. But on the other side, he's kind of awkward, and you really see this as he meets his love interest, Maya, played by Monica Barbaro. And she's basically just trying to get him out of his shell. You have some of the cliche scenes where she turns on music, and he's sitting there, and he's like, I don't dance. And she's like, come on. And he's like, ugh. And she's like, loosen up. But there wasn't that many moments like that were so cliche that the movie just felt like a repeat. And then we have Barry Keoghan as his opposite. So if I didn't mention, Mark is non-violent. Yeah, he does heists, but he's never hurt anybody. And then on the opposite side, Barry Keoghan's character is just psychotic. He's dangerous, he's violent. It's like he has nothing to lose, so he's basically a scary wild card. And that was really interesting seeing that. And I think the most interesting thing about it is usually in a movie you have one character that kind of counteracts the main character. In this one, we have another main character that counteracts Chris Hemsworth. And that's a detective played by Mark Ruffalo. And Mark Ruffalo's character is just a good guy. And this movie really digs into certain themes that are, they're political, but they weren't political in a way that made me go, ugh, forcing a political message. You see him working as a detective at this fairly corrupt police department. Not like corrupt where they're killing people, but just shady stuff. And they're pressuring him to move on from this case, help the numbers go up, close cases if it sounds good, rather than being an actual morally good person. And you see him just struggling. He's trying to be the good guy. He's trying to be the good cop. His marriage is falling apart, blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting seeing him as an opposite to the thief, and then Barry Keoghan mixed in. And then Halle Berry. I think the theme should be just keep swimming for all these characters. You got Chris Hemsworth, who's just trying to keep on going, just keep swimming until he can get out. You got the cop. Just keep swimming, man, be moral. And then you have Halle Berry working with a bunch of rich corporate snobs. And she deals with ageism, she deals with sexism, and you see that in this movie. More elements that, once again, didn't bother me because they did it right. And you see her, and it's like, just keep swimming, you'll get partner eventually, just keep swimming. There wasn't a lot of comedy elements in this movie. Sure, I had a few little laughs. But it was one of those movies that did really good without it. It was just intense. You could take it seriously. And I think the number one thing, the main thing I liked about this movie is you want everyone to win, and you just know they can't, because how does everybody win? How does Chris Hemsworth, who's a fairly moral character for being a thief, I guess. How does he win and make it out? Because you also want the detective to win. You want Mark Ruffalo to get a win to prove to everybody he was right and that he's doing it the right way, that he's sticking up to his standards. But Chris can't win if Mark Ruffalo needs to win. And then you have Halle Berry just on the side, and it's like, okay, what does winning look like for her? So as I was watching this, I was like, okay, there's only one way this works. There's only one way I walk out of this theater feeling satisfied with everybody coming out on top. But I also realized that's probably not realistic. The movie can still have a good ending where I walk away going, you know, that was a good movie, but is it going to be like The Departed, where all the main good and bad characters die? Because that was a solid ending, but I didn't walk out going, yay, everybody got what made them happy. But it was a good ending, so how do you wrap up a movie like Crime 101? Is it going to be a happy ending? I doubted it. Is it going to be an ending that is tragic but makes it even better? Well, all I'll say is I was satisfied leaving, but was it because everyone was happy or because they just did it in such a decent way? Guess you'll have to find out. Go watch it yourself. This movie was just so good. Give it a watch. Stop complaining that there's no original ideas or movies, because there is. People just aren't seeing them because they get overshadowed by franchises and people not wanting to go to the theater and mob mentality of just wanting to complain. This one is worth seeing. I couldn't think of any complaints for me, which once again, I usually can think of something, but the movies I saw this week, both of them, I can already say, better make my top 10 for 2026. But some people online were complaining that Chris Hemsworth's character wasn't really fleshed out, as far as we don't know his backstory, we don't know about his life, and we didn't see deeper into his trauma. But to me, that kind of would change the movie. The whole point is we see this character that's so consumed by earning wealth, and he's a mystery to his love interest, and he's also a mystery to the audience, where he has to find himself again in the movie. Like, who is he outside of heists and whatnot? So I don't mind that we didn't see all the background, because we had enough. We knew he grew up poor, and that's all we really need. Anyways, have you seen this movie? Did you like it? Oh, also, I guess the other thing, Chris Hemsworth's accent was fairly good, but there's times the Australian accent came out just a little bit. But he's so masculine, I don't really care. It still worked. But have you seen this movie? Did you like it? I was a little worried that it just had a lot of star power, so it wouldn't really have any substance, but I think we see that star power doesn't necessarily draw people in. And I think that's a good thing. You want to make good movies. And this was a good movie, so you should check it out. Anyways, thanks for joining me in the bathroom. Feel free to come back anytime. Drop the beat, toilet. Yeah.